Today, I have the pleasure to welcome a very dear person and a lifetime friend to my heart. Her name is Rawan Albina. And if I want to describe her, Rawan, she creates transformative spaces where leaders reconnect with their humanity. They lead with authenticity and shape cultures rooted in trust, courage, and purpose. Her work lives at the intersection of strategy and soul, blending deep listening, embodied practices, and bold conversations to unlock the kind of leadership the world needs now. Through coaching, facilitation, and immersive experiences, she helps leaders see more clearly, feel more deeply, and lead more bravely from inside out. Because when the heart opens, everything shifts. And honestly, when I read the quote, the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life to give it away, for Pablo Picasso, I really think of you, Rawan. Because since we knew each other back in 2004, what a long, amazing journey. You found your calling few years later. And you were the first person that did the leap of faith from corporate to coaching. And you are such an avid learner with a beautiful appetite to keep on, sculpturing your knowledge and foundation. You inspire me and you've inspired a lot and you keep touching lives. So I would like you, Rawan, to share with everyone how did your journey start before we deep dive in this beautiful topic today about
Yes.
leadership with purpose.
Thank you, Yasmin. You were one of the few who encouraged me back in the day to take the leap. I remember many people thought I was crazy. We were together in a big multinational. I was in my early 30s, and people were saying, "You just had a baby, you're crazy, who does that? You're throwing your career away." But for me, there was a bigger calling. First of all, I had just had my first baby, so I wanted the opportunity to spend more time with him.
Yes.
But also, I had discovered coaching.
Mm.
And if you remember, I was studying it on the side, and it was more like a hobby at the time. I was coaching on the weekend, a few people here and there. But then when I went on my maternity leave, I realized, my goodness, there's so much more that I want to do. I just couldn't go back. I remember I went back probably for 1 month, and then I left.
It was overflowing.
Overflowing.
So natural.
Such a pull.
Yeah.
It was too big to ignore. Two big pulls. My mother, being a mother, and the motherhood, and the calling of spending more time with my son, and also the calling for the coaching and the possibilities with coaching back in the day.
I love it. Which is motherhood alone is such an ultimate purpose.
Yes.
And then when you feel there is so much more to give and to do in this world. Rawan, ever since when you started in coaching, from individuals to even very senior leaders, you have been witnessing as well the progression of leadership and purpose, and you have a lot of thoughts and observations around this journey and how people in different maybe stages in life, they might be, like very senior in their career, but there's still something missing. This piece of the puzzle about unlocking their purpose and understanding how they can be the best version of themselves. So, how the concept has transformed over the year? Is it static? Does it evolve? How do you see things from your lenses?
It certainly evolves. When I started coaching, the topic was very new for people. I would go into conversations. They felt very technical, not very transformative. And over time, I started meeting leaders who were at the cusp of realizing something. many of us wake up one day, start feeling a little bit of emptiness in our life.
Yeah.
And the question that always comes up is, there has to be more. What else is there? What used to really fill us up gets to a point where it feels like it's not enough anymore. It's not that we become greedy. It's just that the perspective on life shifts.
So it is really the life, let's say the whole bubble. It's not only about success or a promotion
No.
or a title. There is something deeper and more vast.
Much bigger. It's when the ego and the personality
Yeah.
realizes that there's only so much I can do. There is only so far I can get to without tapping into the inner being. And the inner being is the soul.
The soul. So it is beyond the self-awareness.
So the self-awareness is the gateway.
The root.
It's the gateway, right? So we grow up in systems that only teach us to think from the head up.
Yeah.
We think logically. We talk about how we need to live life. We look at fulfilling the basics, right? But then we get to a point where we realize, okay, my basics are fulfilled. I have the title, I have the job, I have everything I've been working towards, but something is missing, okay? And through the gateway of self-awareness, we start asking the bigger questions. And when you start asking the bigger questions, you realize that your heart may have been in the game for the winning. But once you won and you have the trophy, no matter what it looks like, it could be a successful career, it could be a role, a title, it could be, I don't know, your own business, finding the partner that you love, that you can live a fulfilled life with. When all of this is ticked, you realize that there's something else, there's something more.
It's not enough. Yes.
And it's through the conversations with the heart that this starts to happen. The questions that you ask, not your mind, but you start realizing, actually, I haven't asked my heart. I haven't felt those butterflies. Because with the butterflies, you don't only feel them towards other people. You feel them towards passions, towards things that bring you alive.
What twinkles your eyes.
Exactly.
And sometimes we have to tame them when we are boxed in a certain culture.
Oh, absolutely.
In a certain environment. You know, the whole, let's say, rigidity sometimes even of corporate life.
Absolutely. And taming is such a good word, because we put them in that box. And when we're tame, we're not courageous.
We suppress it.
We suppress it.
So we need to take pride of our heart.
Yes.
And not to feel the emotions are a guilt or it is a sign of weakness.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, understanding our emotions is the first step towards stepping into the space of the heart. If we don't accept our emotions, if we don't understand that the only way out is through, there's no way we can even try to imagine a new way. So many people have a difficulty with emotions because I was saying earlier, we are brought up and we are trained to think from the head up. And we are told as young children in our culture, and I know in many cultures around the world, that big emotions are not okay. And so we try to hide them. Because as we grow up, we want people around us to feel good. And we don't want to hurt them. And so if we find that a big emotion is actually bothering someone I love, I will just hide it and put it away.
Contain it.
And so we end up living in the average world, the average, that space of very limited emotions where everything should be okay. And if something is not okay, we tend to hide it or put it away. And this happens with the I don't want to call them bad or negative, because in my mind, all emotions are just emotions. They're not good or bad. But this is goes equally with sadness, with anger, with frustration, anxiety. It goes equally with happiness, joy, love, passion, exhilaration, all of that. So if I take the lid off and I start asking these questions and I start the path towards more self-awareness, I realize that actually there's so much to explore. And living in that average space, being okay and fine and good, is not good enough anymore. And so we step in that direction, but it takes a lot of courage.
To this new zone.
Yes.
Lovely. Understanding purpose in leadership. So, like some leaders, they struggle to integrate it at core even of their conviction before they really dare to shape it in the business strategy and then echo it in the culture. And this is key because if there's no clear purpose, it is what gravitates as well all team members, employees. So it becomes the ethos. And it's very important as well when it is highlighted. We know it should be deeply rooted in values as well. This is the compass. So I'm sure you've been, in touch with many leaders who are willing to transform as well the environment they're in, or to feel the connection. Or maybe if they don't thrive, it's because they do not connect with this ultimate purpose. So how are, businesses or leaders navigating the importance of really ensuring there's this North Star that everybody can look up to and enjoy cruising towards?
Yeah. Okay, so you're touching on a few very important things here. The way I see it, values are the compass and purpose is the path.
Okay.
Okay? We need to understand our values so that we can use them as stepping stones towards our purpose. Okay? And there's the personal purpose, and there's the organizational purpose, the company purpose. First of all, I always say to all the leaders I work with, if your personal values don't align with the organizational values or the values of the organization you're part of, it's going to be very short-lived.
It's a struggle.
It's a struggle. If my values don't align with the place where I work, I cannot give it my best. I cannot be my best. Why? Because it's the container. If the container doesn't allow me to show up as my best, I will not be able to thrive in it. Okay? I found that leaders who are very clear on their personal purpose are actually able to inspire and guide other people towards their own purpose and the purpose of the organization.
Wow.
And when we talk about purpose, very often people think about this huge thing that should be bigger than life,
Yeah, ornamented.
and it doesn't have to be, because the moment we think about it as this huge thing, it becomes inaccessible.
Okay.
Okay? Purpose can be a dream, an idea, right? And as I grow, my purpose grows with me. If I think about it, it's like I plant a seed in the garden and I water the seed, and then one flower blooms.
Yeah.
Very soon, there will be 2 flowers and 3 flowers.
Then
and
eventually a plant.
Exactly. And eventually a whole garden, right? So the purpose in itself doesn't have to be the garden immediately. It can start with a small flower.
To enjoy the milestone of realizing it.
My biggest realization about purpose, because when I started working with purpose, it was this, big idea, my North Star. And it's beautiful because it really guided me. But then over time, it really started shedding the parts of the purpose that weren't really practical, until I boiled it down to its essence. And today I say, My purpose is really to just open the hearts of leaders. This is what I do every single day. But it took me a very long time to get here. It started with this big sentence, and now it's the essence.
It's very focused. You funneled it.
Exactly. But it's because it's the path that I walk every single day. It becomes so practical. I know with every conversation I have, with every workshop I facilitate, with every coaching session I have, even in my leadership role, when I'm thinking about strategy, I'm thinking about opening the hearts of leaders. So my realization over time basically is that purpose is really how you live in the moment, not only the idea of who you can become.
Being present. I think being present is such a luxury these days.
Yes.
Because of all the distraction, because we want to do so many parallel things, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So being present at home, being present at work, and being present when they say again in my zone, in my element,
Yeah.
but really to be in sync with your dreams and your convictions, your beliefs, and what you're feeling. Again, we cannot extract the heart out of the equation.
Yeah.
And back to the heart, do you believe when you are trying to unlock the heart of those leaders, are they receptive to the idea or pretty defensive, as if the heart it's something? Is there a taboo in the executive corporate culture? Like it's like a treasure, it's too personal because it's vulnerable to access the heart.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, a few years ago, there was much more resistance. I think nowadays leaders realize because the world is going so fast, it's evolving so quickly. We often say we live in a VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. I think more and more leaders today realize that what got me here won't get me there. And what I relied on to find solutions in the past, maybe the technical way of leadership where I could be in control of things, where there were solutions, there were problems with known solutions, where I could have all the answers. Today, leaders realize they don't have all the answers. And when I don't have all the answers, I can relax. If I accept that I don't need to have all the answers, I can let go of the need to know.
And I need to be accessible as well because the answers could be dispersed among the team.
Exactly. So I need to let go and allow others to bring the answers.
Yeah.
I don't have to have all the answers. This relaxing and letting go is the first gateway. Because if I'm constantly in control, I'm constantly living in the past while contemplating the future. And this is where fear comes in.
And missing the present again.
Exactly. This is where fear comes in. We miss the present. We miss being in the moment. Immersed because we are driven by fear. The fear of what we're contemplating might go wrong in the future.
Which is insecurity?
One fear could be insecurity. There are other fears.
The unknown, actually.
You know, fear of the unknown, fear of failing, fear of being found out. If you talk about the imposter syndrome, fear of not looking good, fear of not being successful, not being seen,
perceived as weak, if you don't have all the answers,
if you don't have all the answers. Exactly. But nowadays, even this whole concept of having a magic wand, people realize it's not real.
Yeah.
Right? And fear is felt, but 95% of the time when we feel fear is actually not real. The part of the brain that is wired to go into hijack when we feel the fear has been there ever since we were living in caves. And it's the same system that is
Survival.
exactly survival. It's the same system. It's called an amygdala hijack. It's the same system that goes into trigger and makes us, I'm sure you've heard it, fight, flee, or freeze. And this system is there today, except there is no lion attacking us. There's no snake about to bite us. 95% of the time,
It's in the
these fears
mind.
are not real. They're only in the mind. So realizing this actually allows leaders to work on this fear, let go of the beliefs that this fear also creates in them, and then be able to be much more relaxed in the moment and be present.
Because it hijacks clarity.
It hijacks clarity, it hijacks not only clarity of mind, clarity of thoughts, it hijacks action.
Yeah, absolutely. And I liked your recent post, which I amplified it as well. Bring love back to work. So maybe since we're talking about purpose and the heart and the values, so how can we welcome really love at work without others considering that this will diminish the seriousness to run after the business, to really be aggressively fierce in the marketplace, defend our territory? So is heart welcome? And how purpose, heart, authenticity, empathy, they create the fusion?
Yes.
Since now
we're talking about
yeah,
fusion minds. Yes.
yeah.
That's a big question.
It is big because those words are substantial.
So let me break it down a little bit. Is love welcome? Yes. Do we call it love? Sometimes, not
Call
always.
it we're family.
So love really, if you look at the elements inside love, love includes empathy. It includes compassion. It includes understanding. Psychological safety is a form of love.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Checking in.
Checking in is a form of love. Having an understanding is a form of love.
Coaching, mentoring others.
It's also a form of love.
Because we care.
Because we care, exactly. And when you have people at the heart of the business, you have love and heart at the heart of the business.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. Now, when we look at the advent of AI and the progress that is happening in the world, so many of the technical elements of our work are going to be replaced.
Yeah, automated simply.
Or automated, right? The elements that cannot be automated are our human relationships.
Yes.
And if I care about building a strong team, a high-performing team, if I care about having people who are really on purpose, part of a team that really has a goal that they're working towards, then I am putting love and heart into every single conversation I have with these people. People cannot thrive if they don't feel a sense of safety.
And connection.
And connection, absolutely. So heart and love is all about connection. We cannot ignore connections nowadays. There is no longer this authoritarian, old school type of thinking. No, the world is evolving and we need to evolve with the world. And people are ready. People are really ready because people are tired of wearing masks. They're tired of pretending to be someone they're not. So authenticity comes in very much in the conversations that we have. But we cannot be authentic unless we are able to really peel those layers of the onion, as we say in coaching.
Open our petals
to
others.
Open our petals to others. And we can only open our petals to others when we become more self-aware.
Self-aware, we love ourselves to be able as well to love others without the selfishness. And And yeah, feel that when we pour to uplift others, it is okay because we will all win.
Yes.
And this as well isn't easy.
No.
And it's not really available everywhere around us.
You know why it's not easy? It's not easy because people still think in the if I win, they should lose equation, right? If I'm thinking I need to win, then I'm afraid of losing, which means that fear is going to be in the way of me showing up fully, in the way of me building connection and being authentic. Fear is driving me, right? So why do we say self-awareness is important? Because when I'm self-aware, I am doing the inner work, right? If I want to stand up tall and really be authentic on the outside and win, it's really important that I go inside first. I understand all my limiting beliefs. I understand what is standing in the way of me being real. Why do I need all these layers? What am I hiding behind? Right? And of course, it takes vulnerability. But it's very important.
And courage.
And a lot of courage. It's very important to say that vulnerability is not weakness. People talk about vulnerability and weakness as one. On the contrary.
Okay.
Vulnerability
Strength.
has strength and courage inside it.
Yeah.
I can be vulnerable when I know myself so well.
When I know myself and I believe you can trust the people you're around.
Exactly.
Because sometimes still there is abuse to people who are vulnerable and real.
Exactly.
Due to the system and other types of behaviors.
So many systems are built.
And authority.
Yeah, so many systems are fear-based. When there's a fear-based system, vulnerability is not welcome. You will have people criticizing vulnerability and calling it weakness.
Yeah.
When psychological safety is there, then people have the courage to show up as who they are, and they know they will not be criticized, they will not be blamed, they will not be judged. And when we say psychological safety, many people think, oh, psychological safety is just a word we're using now to allow people to show weakness, or to allow people to fail and not be judged for it, or not to be told off or whatever. Yeah. But the reality is, psychological safety, as Amy Edmondson defines it, is actually the space that we create that allows people to know that they can fail and not be judged, but also where people are supported to find out the right answers and then work towards them. It's not just a license to slack off and not do my work. On the contrary, when I'm in a psychologically safe environment, I want to work even more. And this is why I also connected psychological safety to purpose at the beginning of our conversation, because I don't believe that anyone can live their purpose if they're constantly in fear. So
because it becomes like your excess baggage that put a lot of weight and pressure on your shoulders and decelerate you to pursue this aspiration that you're looking for.
It's actually I love what you just did, to pursue, because when you pursue, you're opening up, and so your whole body, you spread your wings, your whole body opens up to give and stand tall and fly, right? Whereas when you're in fear and you're worried, think about it, it's like the body shrinks and you want to hide. You're constantly in your shell trying to protect yourself.
Or you might stride, but then, reverse it. So it becomes vicious circle.
Yes.
It's so important to create awareness around all of this and to keep a conversation alive. Really, it's between, I think, people and themselves, or with coaches, mentors, therapists, HR, line managers, whoever. But we need different people to really be aware, to learn, to be able to help others to unlearn the fears,
Yes.
and to seed in them this hope that they can really strive to reach what they want,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it's not about one person, like you learned it. You learned it and you keep on learning and being certified. It's amazing to be a lighthouse. But I believe this need to be as well the conversation normalized and the expertise in how to be able to have such healthy dialogues and conversations more democratized in terms of the techniques, so that everybody can help each other and we can all grow in a healthier way in how we think, how we act.
This is why today there's a huge emphasis still on training leaders to be coaches themselves. And not to be certified as coaches. We're not talking about that, but we're talking about having the coaching conversations and having the curiosity to work on themselves and help others to work on themselves.
To dig.
To dig a little bit deeper, to have the curiosity, so replace judgment with curiosity. And remember that the person sitting in front of them is a human being at the end of the day, not someone who is just meant to deliver on numbers. Right? So that conversation definitely should be normalized and democratized. And it shouldn't sit with the few, with the elite few who have the tools. It's not about that. All the work that I do today in my role is to really democratize this work. Because every single person who goes into a workshop with me, every single person who I have a conversation with, all the programs that I design start with an element of self-leadership where we look at who we are, we understand ourselves. Because I really believe that you cannot be the understanding leader, the leader who can create a psychologically safe space, the leader who is comfortable with vulnerability, who is compassionate, who is empathetic, if you haven't done the inner work. You have to start with yourself.
To start with yourself, and when you look at the mirror, you are proud and at peace.
Yes, absolutely.
What a liberation.
It's a huge liberation.
And then you can liberate others.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Purpose is a catalyst of change. So how we can, now the world is changing fast and you hear a lot about change management. Is purpose constant and we change, or it can evolve as well to become something bigger and more meaningful? So it is an amazing space to discuss, like purpose-led organizations. Is it something that should be a legacy over 100 years, 75 years from generation to other, or it can as well grow and evolve so that we became relevant to what's happening around us?
Yeah, I think a purpose should definitely evolve. Okay, and I tell you why. For me, it's very simple. The person I am today can only see this far. So, if today I create a purpose and I say this is my purpose, in 20 years I will grow. Right? And I might outgrow my purpose. So my purpose cannot be static and live in the past. It should evolve with me. Right? And so purpose-led organizations having a purpose can be the essence of who we are. This is the essence. But the purpose statement in itself can change. Right? So the core of the business could still remain the same. The core of who we are in the world, who we want to be, what we represent, who we serve, the impact, etc. This can be the essence, right? It's like the seed in a fruit. Right? No matter what the fruit looks at like on the outside, you open it and the seed is the same. Okay? But the fruit might change over time. Why? Because I'm evolving, and the purpose should be allowed to evolve with me. It's not written in stone. Right? Now, the biggest shift that I learned recently about purpose, that we can connect to this whole idea of presence, is that purpose is who I am and the path that I walk every single day. One of my teachers, Thomas Hubel, says, when you are connected, your life is like a river flow. And when you're present and connected to purpose, you are connected to the flow of that river. The river flows and the water keeps going. It's never the same water.
صح.
Right?
Yeah.
The same thing happens with purpose. If I'm connected and I'm walking the path, this is my purpose.
And it is a
so
journey.
It's alive in me, and it's a journey.
It's a journey. It keeps on moving and shifting.
Yes.
And refreshing. The nexus of Fusion Minds AI, it is AI and sustainability. And ESG, environmental, social, and governance, it's all around purpose. In the recent past, we've seen this as well becoming the new reality. And many organizations started as well to reshape their DNA and raison d'etre around what we're doing in terms of impact on the social element, the economic, understanding stakeholders, and being aware as well about externalities, be it positive or negative. So again, some are embracing it because they're anyways purpose driven. Some they're scratching the surface, or still it's a tick of a box or minimal compliance, because anyways regulation in some territories or zones, it's not yet mature. So how do you see as well the maturity of overall purpose of certain leaders or the organization can help them to understand how it is important to do good by as well still doing well and doing good for business, doing good for people and for the planet? They can be in sync. It's not either or.
Yeah, this is the $1 million question, I think.
Or how we can ignite it. I'm not saying but really how we can ignite it, because this is the right thing to do, to be responsible.
Yeah, it's not only about the right thing to do. At the end of the day, if we look at it from a soulful and spiritual perspective, we are all one. We are one humanity. We are one with the earth.
We are nature.
We are nature. We are not separate.
Interdependent. Everything's connected.
Exactly. It's the idea of the separation that has caused all this to begin with.
Silos.
Yeah, we are not separate from what is happening. These silos are just protection mechanisms.
To postpone driving the solutions, maybe, or embracing responsibility.
Embracing responsibility, or even to pretend that it has nothing to do with me, right?
Let them.
Because it's easier. It's easier. And I protect myself because I don't think I have it in me to even fight the fight. I'm not willing. I'm making money.
Pleasing
I'm happy.
Shareholders.
I'm happy. Things are fine. We really need to start looking in the horizon. We can't be so limited by short-lived goals. Right? And big organizations today realize this. They realize that if we are to build a legacy, if we are to live for hundreds of years, we cannot ignore the impact that we have.
Yes.
On the planet, on society, on the economy. We are big players. And this is why it's so important to work with leaders in the organizations who are big players. because when separation is there because of the fear. Again, we go back to the same conversation. When I realize that I do not need to be afraid and I can show up fully and I can live on purpose, I will drive the organization towards purpose.
And be vocal about it
I will
and
be
act on it.
absolutely, without being afraid, with all courage, with an open heart. Right? If I'm worried about what people will think of me, or if I'm worried about who to please, then I'm never going to get there, right? So it's part of the bigger picture and the bigger conversation. It's about really zooming out and seeing that we actually can make a difference. You know, this is why today I truly believe that organizations have very powerful roles to play in society, in the economy, in nations.
Yes.
We can hold, organizations can hold the future in their hands, and they can totally create a new reality for future generations. And it all starts with the inner work. If I am not aware, if I don't realize my impact on another human being,
to be nonchalant,
let alone my impact on the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's all interconnected.
It is all interconnected, and I want our leaders, our listeners, to be left with some practical steps. You are such a gold mine of information, and I want you to offer advice to leaders aiming to embed purpose in the leadership approach. Like what tips you have when it comes to personal development, learning, mentorship, how they can foster, and this connection with purpose that can create tremendous positive ripple effects, not only for them, but for the whole circle around them.
Yeah. Some practical steps. First of all, you need to feel the aliveness in you. If you are today someone who is numb, who is living just day to day, trying to get by,
copy paste,
right? You need to really stop and ask yourself, what is really meaningful to me, right? And it might be that you remember a hobby you used to have as a child. If I ask myself the question, when was the last time I felt fully alive? The answer to this question could be rooted in childhood, could be rooted in my university experience, or the excitement I had in my first job ever. This question really guides you to that place in you that went to sleep just because you had to get by in life. Very often we are put on a path, we study in university, and then we're on a path, we start in an organization, we start doing well, we grow, we become leaders, and we forget a part of ourselves along the way. The first step towards really following purpose is reigniting this part of me that has gone to sleep, right? Numbing happens for many reasons. One of the reasons is also pain and hurt. Numbing is actually a form of protection, and it's a form of trauma response.
Okay.
If I'm numb, it's because something I felt in the past was too much for my system.
I put a shield.
So I put a shield, and the shield is numbing. So if I ask myself this question, this would be the first step. And then I would encourage everyone to have a mentor, a coach. If people have realized that they're very numb, that there are parts of them that are really hurting, I encourage them to go seek the help of a therapist.
To heal.
They need to heal. We cannot heal the world if we don't heal ourselves. It's very simple, right? And having that conversation, the conversation is so important with others, to have a human conversation. It's really helpful to understand what inside someone else is also hurting, and how can I contribute to helping them heal.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful book that came out last year, written by Nicholas Yani, and it's called Leader as Healer. It's a beautiful book. I recommend that people read it if they can. It was not in my notes, it just showed up now because we're talking about healing. Leaders have a big role in healing. They start by healing themselves, and then they can start healing others. So another practical step would be have the conversations that you were afraid to have, having courageous conversations, giving people feedback, not shying away from telling someone that, you know what, I want you to be the best version of yourself, and this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And giving
What a
them
gift.
feedback on something that they saw. Feedback is truly a gift.
صح.
We shy away from it because in our mind, we're constantly thinking, I'm good or bad, I'm good or I'm bad, right? This is right, this is wrong. But
How others will receive it.
yes,
Just say it.
just say it.
Yeah.
If you offer it from a place of love.
Yes, from the heart, when it's genuine.
Exactly. Not when, I'm actually, what you did triggered me, and therefore I'm giving you the feedback from a place of criticism and judgment. This is not how it works. If if the feedback comes from the heart, it's always well received. I guarantee it. And I've seen it 100 times,
I've felt
1,000 times, you know?
Yes.
And of course, the person receiving the feedback needs to be open to it. And if they're not open to it, it's fine. You offered. How much their heart is open. I always imagine the knob on the heart, you know? If the knob is closed, then so much of the feedback will not be well received. If the knob is open, and what opens the knob is the relationship that I have with that person.
Trust which is forged.
The trust that is forged, the level of care and compassion that this person has felt from me before. They will receive the feedback with an open heart if they have a great experience with me, right? And I will always say, start small. Start small, baby steps. It doesn't have to be, oh, I need to
a whole making over,
fly to the moon tomorrow. No, baby steps. Just decide that you want to move forward and just take baby steps. And I think this is the best advice I could give.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Rawan, on sharing your deep thoughts that touched my heart. I'm sure it touched the listeners' hearts. And really, I believe we all need and we owe it to ourselves to be true with ourselves. Devote time to understand what should be healed, how we can be a better version, how to ensure that this flame inside us is alive, as you've mentioned, and to remember what makes us alive.
Yes.
What can induce this spark to stay, full of light? And is it the environment? Is it a music? Is it a book? Is it sports? Is it other people? But if we keep concealing it, we will be at a disadvantage. So if we all really reach a stage in life where we believe, yes, we are accomplished, it's not enough no matter what we're doing and ticking boxes, and we feel there is a calling, give it a shot. Have this mentor, have this coach that can refine as well our extension out of our body to connect with our soul, to have this strength, which is vulnerability, empathy, courage, all of those values that sometimes are sandwiched as if they are not strong enough. But I believe a lot of strength lies there, and be proud if you have them, because this is unique.
Yes.
Thank you so much again for the conversation.
Thank you, Yasmin.
Everything is connected. When we discuss leadership, when we discuss purpose, no matter in which field, it is us human beings who need to embody those qualities so that we can excel behind anything that we want to pursue in life.
Absolutely.
Anything you wish to add to wrap it off, it's all yours.
Yeah. I prepared, there's a poem I love. I thought it would be adequate for today's
I
conversation.
love poetry. Go ahead.
It's a poem written by Marianne Williamson, and it was actually read by Nelson Mandela in his inaugural speech.
Wow.
I often use it in my workshops in closing, and I think it would be beautiful if we can close with it here. It's called Our Deepest Fear. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking, so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. This is the healing we're talking about. This is exactly it.
Let us shine and let us make others shine.
Absolutely.
And our deeds shine and be powered with purpose. Thank you so much.
Thank
it was
you,
such
Yasmin.
a delight to have you.
Thank you for having me. It was a beautiful conversation, and I truly feel we're blessed to be able to have these conversations nowadays that can actually reach so many people.
And I believe in this conversation. That's why it's the first cornerstone talk we are launching Infusion Talks with Rawan, because it all starts with us and from the inside before we can touch anything to shape the world. Thank you, everyone.